Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about Divorced Sisters season one, or should I say Divorced Sistas season one, episode 5. It is called Breath of Fresh Air. Now, this episode starts out with them still at the police station where they're waiting to hear what's going on with Naomi. Um, Javon goes somewhere to find out what's going on with Naomi. So Tiffany goes to Geneva and she's asking her what she thinks happened to the white lady. Of course, Tiffany was like, she didn't know. Rashida's not answering her phone. But what do she think happened, being as she had some scalding hot coffee poured on her? And they said it was hot. So then Tiffany asked Geneva why she never told her about Javon. And she was like, why should I tell you anything about him? Because he was married. So basically, he was married and he had a wife. So there was no reason for her to mention him to her. And also the little simple fact that she was messing with him. So, of course, there's that. So Tiffany asked about, the ex-wife, and she was like, basically she lied to her because she was like, she didn't know anything outside of law, which we all know if you're watching this show that that's a lie because they were messing around. So she knows a little bit more than a lot more than what she's saying. So she doesn't want to tell Tiffany anything about him. So she's basically telling her she needs to ask him all these questions that she's asking her. So she was like, well, she'll just ask Rashida about it. So Geneva is like, well, Rashida can't tell you anything because she don't know anything. Because, Rashida only knows what Geneva has told her. And Geneva has all of the information. She's just not giving it to Tiffany. In my personal opinion, I think she should have went ahead and told Geneva that her and old dude was screwing around, because Tiffany is gonna start really liking this dude, and this dude don't like her for real. He's just using her to get back at her friend. So Tiffany's gonna end up hurt, and it's probably gonna cause a wedge in between this friendship. So I feel like she should have just told her and been through with it, but of course she didn't. So she's sitting here gushing all over him and, talking about how much of a good dude and stuff he is. So now what Geneva does tell her is, she tells her to be careful. And so she asked Geneva what she's not telling her. And she was like, well, you're going to have to ask him. And so that's when she was like, well, I will, but you're acting, really strange or whatever. But she walks off and goes back to sit down. When she goes back to sit down, she receives a call from Bridget, who is calling to ask about Naomi. And it was like, Naomi is not out yet. And of course, they ask her about the other girl. She doesn't know anything because, of course, Rashida isn't answering anybody's calls. She lets them know that the whole Naomi situation has been placed online, and they're trying to get the church's PR team to get it under control. At that moment, Javon comes back to let them know that Naomi is on her way out. Comes out, she's telling them how they have ripped her dress and how tired she is. And they was like, it's okay, we got you. Um, Bridget tells them that she's going to meet them at her house. So they leave. Back at Bridget's house, Vaughn and Bridget have gotten into it because, Bridget is up trying to get ready to go to work. and she's making all these different phone calls. And Vaughn is like, you up, you keeping up all this noise, and I'm trying to sleep. And she's like, dude, you need to be getting up and trying to go find a job. But he's like, he can't sleep because she's up keeping up noise and making phone calls, and he's tired. And she's like, tired of what? Because you don't work, you don't do no lay around and play games. So she's feeling away. He's saying that she's sounding like his mama, and of course she's like, well, she's starting to feel like his mama because he's a child and he don't want to work, and he just stopping working because he don't want to work. And he's like, well, he's taking mental health days because they doing something to his mental. And they literally get into it. She leaves because there's somebody knocking on the door, and he was like, you gonna answer the door? And of course, she's fussing because she don't want to answer the door, and he just want to lay there and sleep. But she ends up going to the door, and by the time she got back, because Calvin was at the door, but by the time she gets back in the room, because Calvin came over, because he's trying to get his key. Because you remember, Calvin gave Vaughn a job that Vaughn quit, so he came to find his key that he said Vaughn has, but of course Vaughn said he don't have it. But by the time Bridget went to the door and came back, he was in there snoring. I'm like, dude, you can't be tired like that where you just go to sleep just like that. I mean, immediately he was like, sleep. And I'm like, this don't make no sense. He was sleeping like that. But anyway, he tells her he don't have the key. And she goes back to tell Calvin that he said he don't have the key. Of course, he's telling her that Vaughn is a child and she needs a man. She getting her feelings and like, you don't tell me what I need. And he was like, you're right. And, she goes back, asks him. He said he don't have it. And he was like, well, let me talk to him. So he goes back there, and he is asking Vaughn, where is his key? He tells him he don't have it. And they get into they start arguing, and he was like, she brought him in his house disrespecting him. So Calvin was like, this isn't your house. A house is where a man pays the bills and takes care of the woman, not where the woman is taking care of the man. And they literally get into it. And from what I saw, Vaughn whooped Calvin's ass. Let me see if there's a video on here where I can show the fight. Cause yeah, Vaughn put the paws on my homeboy. Vaughn put the paws on it. Shoot, let's see if I can find a little clip of where he got his butt beat. I know I saw one. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Is this it? Okay. See if I can share my screen.
For it, and don't let this woman do everything for him. You a little ass woman.
Wait, whoa. Oh, wait, y'all, stop this. Y'all, oh my God. Y'all, stop. Oh.
Hey, you see what you did? You did that. Let me go do it.
No, please stop.
Oh, shit.
No.
Oh, motherfucker, do you hear me?
Stop.
I will kill you.
Please, Mom. Stop. No, wait, stop, please stop.
House is when a man pays.
So that's funny to me. It's funny to me. But hey, maybe nobody. It's funny to me though. But right there, I found out some information about Kelvin later on in the episode. But right there, he got his ass whooped. I'm sorry. He did get his ass whooped. Anyway, after that, the next scene, we'll go to where Jeff is woke. He's up. His son comes in and he's asking for money. He says he needs a new computer, and he was asking him if he's talked to his mother. No one has seen Rashida. They don't know where she is. She didn't sleep in the guest room. So, last episode we saw where, he got out the car and left her in the car and he didn't open the door. So he came on in the house. That's where it ended last week, but we don't know where she is at this present time because no one in the house knows where she is. While he's sitting there, Myron calls. It's Myron, that dang on Myron, but Myron's gonna call if you don't do nothing else. But he calls and he lets him know that he's fine. He's getting ready to go work out before he comes into the office. So the group, the trio, the foursome, they arrive at Naomi's house. At this point, it's a foursome. It's no longer a threesome. You got Naomi, you have Tiffany, you have Geneva, and you have Javon. So they arrive at Naomi's house, and Tiffany is sitting there still flirting with Javon. And she's still flirting, gushing over him. She gives him her number, and while she's putting her number in his phone, he's looking at Gigi, which that's what I don't. That's why Geneva needs to just tell this girl to be through with it, because Javon is playing. He playing these games. He needs to stop playing these games, though. He needs to stop. But he asked her to dinner. And of course, when they go in the house, they ended up separating because Geneva tells Tiffany she needs her help in the house. So he orders him an Uber, and Tiffany's like, well, you can wait on your car in the house. And she's like, no, you can't. Let homeboy stay outside. And he's like, it's only 5 minutes away. I'll be, it'll be here in a minute. So he asked her to dinner. She tells him to call her. And oh God, hold on a second. Okay, he asked her to call him so they can get all that situated. So they end up going in the house, and we see Naomi is drinking again. Baby girl, you just got out of jail. Why are you sitting in here drinking? She in here drinking, getting lit. Baby, you just got out of jail. And so time they walk in the house, you got Tiffany asking, well, why wasn't it a good idea? And she's like, well, look around. Of course, the house looks a mess because, it got ransacked from when the police came there to take all the stuff out of the house. So Naomi is in her feelings. And of course, Bridget shows up. She tells them, she's not okay. They've taken her paintings. They've taken her clothes. They've taken her cars. They've taken everything from her. And she says that nobody loves her like her grandmother. Of course, her friends tell her that they love her. And, during this time, she's looking at a broken heirloom that she got from her mom. Geneva tells her, they'll get it repaired for her. And she talks about the preacher hating her and what kind of preacher is he. So they're telling her everything is going to be okay. So she literally started going in on Bridget because she was like, she was saying that they lied. Franklin lied to her about the girl because evidently she asked her about her, and he told her that they were just friends, only to find out, they were messing around, and he ended up getting the girl pregnant and all of that. But she wants to sue, of course. When does she not want to sue? She always wants to freaking sue. And Bridget is like telling her, the pastor's not a bad dude or whatever. And she was like, well, you've been drinking the Kool-Aid. And she literally goes off on Bridget because she's telling her, what do you know about a man? You've never had one. You taking care of this little young boy. I mean, she went in. She hurt a girl feelings because she was like, man, bump this. I'm ready to go. I'm over here trying to be a support system for you, and you staying here trying to talk about my situation. That's why that's me. She probably like, that's why you in the situation that you in. But she ended up apologizing to her, and Tiffany was telling Geneva that she needs to stop sugarcoating stuff for Naomi, because they're letting her know, look, this situation is bad. You have burned this lady. These are third-degree burns. These are criminal charges. Your ass can go to jail. And she basically like, she don't care. She don't give a damn. Because she was like, when they hear my side, right now, baby girl, you ain't got no side. Regardless as to what's going on, I mean, I understand her feelings were hurt and everything, but it didn't make it right for her to throw that hot ass coffee on that lady. Now, come on. The lady didn't say anything. Her ex-husband was the one that was saying all this. She should have threw the coffee on him. She should have threw the coffee on him because the lady didn't say anything. But hey, who am I? But anyway, they let her know the situation is really, really bad, and she could potentially go to jail. They get ready to leave, and they do leave. Tiffany wants to ride with Geneva. Geneva tells Bridget to take her, and she was like, well, you going right by there. And she's like, she made the excuse of she got to make some calls on Naomi's behalf, but I don't think that was it. She probably was just sick of Tiffany at that point. She didn't want to be bothered with her no more. But anyway, Tiffany ended up going with Bridget, and Geneva drove by herself. We'll see where William is texting Geneva and, asking her about what's going on. She lets him know that, everything's okay. She's on her way home. He goes to get their daughter ready for school. Anika asked him where was, her mother, because she didn't hear her come in, and she wants to give her a hug. William, he does the daddy thing. He lets her know, you can give your mom a hug when she gets here. You get your clothes on and get ready so you'll be ready by the time she gets here. So he calls Sarah and asks her to get her ready while she makes breakfast. And while he's making breakfast and getting things ready, Javon calls him and he asks him how did things go with Tiffany and if he's going to see her again. Of course, he tells him that, things went well, and, he was planning on taking her to dinner that night, and he was asking if him and Geneva would join them. Of course, William is like, Geneva's probably going to be tired, so she's probably not going to want to join them, and he's going to let them get to know each other themselves, and he tells him that, Geneva's been acting a little strange. So, of course, Javon is like, well, how is she acting strange? Of course, he's trying to find out whatever he can find out about what's going on with Geneva, knowing that he's the cause of the stuff that she's dealing with. He's not all of it, because part of it is what Anika told her about what daddy says to the pretty lady. Anyway, he tells William that he's a good dude. William tells them he's invited to church. He's like, well, I'll come, but he asks if Naomi's going to be there. So he's like, Naomi doesn't come to our church. She's like, well, as long as Naomi ain't there, I'll probably show up. So in the car with Bridget, Tiffany is talking about, Javon is like a breath of fresh air. And Bridget is like, well, she wished she could say the same thing about, her situation, because she said things aren't working out with Vaughn. Then she proceeds to tell her about the fight that Vaughn and Calvin had. And she was like, Vaughn was extremely angry and violent, because she was talking about how enraged he was. So Tiffany was like, because me, I said Vaughn whooped his ass. But in this scene, Tiffany tells Bridget that Calvin could have whooped Vaughn's ass if he had wanted to. So if he didn't do it, it's because he didn't want to, because Calvin is a professional boxer. Didn't know that part. I was like, He's a professional boxer and got his ass whooped like that. But then I did remember where Calvin was like he could have, took him up out of there. He did say that. But I was just like, dude, you just feel so way because you got your ass whooped. But I guess I'm wrong because, I guess he didn't want to whoop his ass like that in front of his girlfriend, but he's a boy and all the other good stuff. But hey, I digress. But Bridget tells her, she sent Bun back home to his mama. And it was like, do you really hear what you just said? You just said you sent this boy back home to his mama. So she's like, yeah, I know. We ain't gonna have this conversation no more because I realized what the fuck I said. But the next thing we're gonna see where Naomi calls her freak to pay. And of course, when she calls him, he's already freaking somebody else. And she was like, she wants to see him. She wants to see him in 20 minutes. He told her an hour. She tells him 20 minutes, and he ends up staying an hour and a half. Next scene, we're going to see where Geneva comes home. William has breakfast waiting for her on the table, and he lets her know that he's going to go take Anika to school. So now we go to the next scene where Rashida's daughter is now looking for Rashida. So she's asking the dad, where's mom? Says she didn't sleep in the bed last night. She didn't sleep in the guest room. So they like basically, where is she? Because her side of the bed was not slept in, which is crazy because Dad don't know nothing. Pastor Jeff don't know nothing. You telling me you left your wife in the car. You don't realize she didn't come in the house. You don't realize she didn't come in the house. You don't realize that she didn't get in the bed with you. You don't give a damn what's going on in your house. You don't know nothing. You don't know where your wife at, what she doing. You don't know nothing. Nothing. But anyway, she was like, she wants to know what's going on. Asked if they're getting a divorce. Of course, he says they're not getting a divorce. And the daughter was like, maybe y'all should, because maybe that way y'all could be happy because, she could tell that neither one of them is happy. And he's like, well, we're happy. Dude, y'all ain't been happy since the show started. Y'all have not been happy since this freaking show started. Because me, personally, I think you're gay. But hey, that's just me and my thought process, which, they kind of alluded to that since the first episode, but I digress. At this point, we still don't know where the hell Rashida is. Anyway, back to over here with Naomi. The freak for pay has shown up, and she tells him he's late. He's like, well, he's here when he told her he would be here. And he walks in, he's like, what the hell happened here? And, she's like, she got robbed. And she lets him know that, she needs him to handle the person that robs her. And of course, he said he could put word on the street, find out who did this. And she's like, she don't need him to handle it that way because she know who did it. She said her ex-husband did it. He went through the course to have this done. And so she asked him how connected he is and asked him if he can have somebody removed from the planet. Of course, he says that's light work, but it's not cheap. And she tells him to look around. Does it matter? Does it look like it matters to her how much it's going to cost? So basically, she tells him, get naked and meet her in the bedroom and don't keep her waiting. So, there's that. Next thing, we're going to go back to Rashida's house where her kids are coming out and they're arguing and, they find their mom asleep in the car. They ask her why she's sitting there. She's like, she's just sitting there thinking. She got stuff going on in her mind. So, they're asking a lot of questions of asking what's going on. She's telling them, don't miss the bus. they like the son, of course, again, talk about he need money. Then he was like, you know what, never mind. The daughter wants to know what's going on. She telling them, get your ass on the bus. Don't worry about what's going on over here, because ain't nothing going on over here. Y'all need to get your ass on that bus and don't miss it. So they end up going to the bus. We see where Geneva has followed William to the school. William has given some lady a flower, because I'm looking at trying to see how pretty the pretty lady is. If this the pretty lady, then Geneva, you going on back home, because you know she ain't ugly, but she ain't all that either. But he's sitting there, he gave some lady a flower. She's sitting there watching. And, you know, while she's sitting there watching, Javon calls her. And, you know, she tells him she's sick of his bullshit. And he was like, you know, what bullshit? And if she don't want him to go out with Tiffany, to just let him know. Why should she tell you that she don't want you to go out with Tiffany? You know, the only reason you going out with Tiffany is so you could try to make her mad. If you don't like the lady, don't be trying to get this lady caught up in y'all fucked up situation. That's messed up. You know, this is this lady's friend. Why would you do that? Because you trying to make her jealous. But y'all ain't together. That lady is married. You were married when y'all were messing around. Then you upped and left your wife for whatever reason, thinking you gonna come back to this lady, and she's supposed to up and leave her husband. But I feel like it's gonna happen. I can't say she's gonna leave him, but she's trying to justify in her mind what she's getting ready to do. Because that's why she's sitting there watching him with the pretty lady. So she could justify the bullshit that she really wants to do. But hey, who am I? But I digress. Anyway, she ends up hanging up on him. And the next scene, we actually go back to Rashida's house. Because we ain't seen Rashida the whole doggone episode. Well, we just saw her last scene. But anyway, Jeff comes out of the house and he finds Rashida in the car. He asks her, you know, baby, what you doing? And he was like, you know, he thought she had stayed in the guest room last night, but of course she didn't. And he tells her she's being childish because she sat in the car and slept in the car all night. And she's like, well, you didn't open the door for me. And he was like, so you telling me you basically stayed in this car all night because I didn't open the door for you. It's an electric car. I mean, you could have just opened the door. So he goes around to open the door for her. And she's like, it's not about the fact that, you know, she couldn't open the door. It's how he felt about this marriage, because she feels like, you know, he's not letting her in. He's shut her out. He doesn't love her. And of course, you know, he's sitting there talking about, he do love her. Baby, I do love you. No, they going back and forth in this little argument. And his phone rings. In the middle of the argument, she's telling him to answer it. He looks at it, but he doesn't answer it. So she gets upset and she grabs the phone and she answers it. And old Myron says, are you in the car, babe? Can you talk? And she's sitting there looking like, oh, you just found that your husband is a fruity. So, you know, he's sitting there looking stupid, because I'm like, I know it. I knew this motherfucker was liking me. And I knew, because you sitting here treating your wife like that, dude. I knew you liked me. And I know it. But let me show the little clip, because when I first saw it, it really didn't shock me, because I thought he was gay anyway. But let me see if I can pull it up real quick, because I was like, yo, I knew it. I knew he was old freaking leaky thing. Give me a second. I had this sucker pulled up, and then I had to show something else. Let's see if I can pull it up again real quick. It's it right here. Okay. Let me share my screen.
You see, everybody would be, yo, you're not even concerned.
What are you talking
Just
about?
get it. Just get it.
Are you in the car, babe? Can you talk?
No.
What can you say? What can you say about that, homeboy?
You see, everybody with me. You're not even concerned.
What are you talking
Just
about?
get it. Just get it.
Are you in the car, babe? Can you talk?
No.
That was it for me. I was just too out there. And I said, I knew it. I said, I knew it. 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 But hey, and that is, of course, how this episode of Divorce Sistas ends. Follow me on TikTok at FromJsView, on Instagram from at JsView. Of course, my email is FromJsView@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share the video. With that being said, I'll talk to you guys soon. Y'all have an amazing day. Bye.